Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a psychological thriller series called You from 2018. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The 8th episode opens with Joe sitting on his couch while Karen is rearranging his bookshelf. They are now dating. Karen is part neat and part freak. Joe kind of enjoys it, but he still stalks Beck's Facebook profile 2 or 3 times a day. He knows that Beck has gone viral after writing an essay about Peach. She has even managed to get a book deal. Now Joe is lying in bed with Karen and stalking Beck's profile. Meanwhile, Beck is with Lynn, but she's busy on her Facebook profile, reading the comments people left on her posts. Lynn gets a little upset seeing this. Then Blythe arrives. Blythe and Beck have gotten really close. Blythe has even found an editor named Janice for Beck. This is all news to Lynn, so she gets more upset and leaves. The scene cuts to Beck and Blythe returning to Beck's place. Beck is having writer's block, and Blythe is there to help. Blythe takes away Beck's phone and deletes all social media apps. She even disconnects the router and thinks it's better for Beck to switch to a typewriter. Beck asks Blythe whether she knows if Joe is still with Karen. Blythe answers yes, and she realizes that Beck is a bit upset about this, so she suggests Beck write about these feelings. The scene cuts to Joe in Dr. Nikki's office, telling him how Karen doesn't keep him on his toes like Beck did. Karen is good for him, and Dr. Nikki thinks so too. Their session ends, so Joe heads home. On his way, he searches for Beck's profile and sees that it's gone. Meanwhile, Beck is searching Karen's profile and sees her post with Joe. On the other hand, Joe is very upset that he can't show Beck how happy his life is now. Anyway, he goes to the bookstore and finds Ethan and Blythe together. They've decided to move in together. Joe is skeptical about this decision and suggests that they should wait longer, but Ethan is in love and thinks it's perfect for him. The scene changes to Paco, Karen, and Joe sitting on Joe's couch. Paco explains how he wants to visit Pris in Norway. Joe is kind of absent-minded and is thinking about Beck. Karen does most of the talking. Paco also tells them how his mom has changed after everything ended with Ron. Claudia enters the house, and both Karen and Joe can see that she's either on drugs or alcohol. Claudia gets upset with them for no reason and leaves with Paco. Karen starts feeling bad, so she asks Joe to take a walk with her. While they're walking, Joe sees Beck standing a few feet away from them. He tries to ignore her, but Beck calls him first. Joe plays it cool, but Karen gets defensive. She tells him that she's hungry, so they leave. While they're walking away, Karen gets a call, and Joe gets a text from Beck. He is deciding whether to reply or not, but Beck makes him reply. The scene cuts to both of them telling Dr. Nikki how they've started texting again. Beck and Joe both try to act like they're just friends and nothing serious, but Dr. Nikki thinks otherwise. Time goes on, and they text each other almost the whole day. Beck also sends him photos of herself, and Joe motivates her for her writing. The scene cuts to Joe and Beck back in Dr. Nikki's office. Dr. Nikki is fed up with both of them. He suggests Joe focus on Karen and his relationship, and tells Beck to stop flirting with Joe and move on. The scene cuts to Joe going to Blythe and Ethan's new place to help them move in. Beck also arrives there, making it hard for Joe not to think about all the good memories he had with her. They sit down on the couch and work together, but all Joe can think about is how Beck smells, her body heat, and everything. After they're done with work, Beck and Joe sit down to have some beer while chatting. Beck asks whether he has met Karen's family yet. Joe doesn't say anything. Beck starts poking him about Karen. Joe comes back home at night and finds Claudia passed out from overdosing on pills. Karen is taking care of her. Joe thinks they should take her to the doctor, but that could cause Claudia to lose her job and even Paco, so they take her to the basement of the bookstore. Claudia wakes up and starts screaming, but Joe holds her down, and Karen gives her a sedative. After they're done, Joe starts feeling dizzy as all the memories of Benji in this room flood his brain. He then goes back home to take care of Paco. Paco asks him where his mom is, and Joe lies, saying they're at the spa. Paco asks whether he's lying, and Joe assures him that he's not, and everything is okay. The scene cuts to Joe back in the basement, helping Karen take care of Claudia. Claudia keeps telling them about a man who is haunting this place, and Joe shrugs it off. The next day, Ron comes to visit Joe at the bookstore and asks him about Claudia and where she is. Joe tells him that he currently doesn't know, but will let her know Ron is searching for her if he sees her. Ron doesn't push further and leaves for the day. That night, Beck asks Joe on a date on a ferry. Joe thinks again and again that he shouldn't do this, but he ends up going. They sit down on a bench, and Beck gives Joe her story to read. Joe gives her positive feedback. Beck starts slowly flirting while Joe is trying hard to control himself. He gets a text from Karen saying Paco will be with another friend of hers, and he can rest. Joe wants to be good for Karen, but he gives up and starts making out with Beck on the deck. From that point on, they start having an affair. Beck spends most of her time with Joe, and Joe lets Karen handle everything alone. They've also stopped going to therapy altogether. One night while he's with Beck, He remembers that he forgot Paco at home, so he rushes back and finds Paco waiting. Paco tells him that he just wants to see his mom. Joe tries to convince him that it's okay, and he should give Claudia a little more time, but Paco insists that his mom never leaves like that without saying goodbye. So, Joe ends up taking Paco to the basement. At first, Karen scolds him for this, but Claudia is really happy to see Paco, and the same goes for Paco. They hug and comfort each other. Claudia promises him that she'll get better for him. Karen tells Joe that they should take a break, and proposes that she'll go to Ethan's housewarming party with him. The scene cuts to the night of the party, and Joe arrives there before Karen. Blythe is going on and on to him about literature and various things, and Joe is not happy to listen to all of this. Karen arrives and saves him from this. While they're talking, Beck also arrives. She greets Karen with a smile and acts like everything is normal. Ethan calls for Joe, asking for his help. After Joe leaves, Karen tells Beck how Joe is such a good person and does everything for someone he loves. He has such a big heart. Beck starts tearing up hearing all this and excuses herself to take a break. Joe follows her and leans in for a kiss, but Beck pushes him away. She expresses her regret that Joe was such a good person in her life and for her writing, but she is not good for him. Karen is. She is a mess, and Joe deserves someone better. So Beck decides to end the affair here. Joe also agrees that Karen is good for him. The next day, Karen and Joe are in the basement. Claudia has finally recovered, and Paco is also there to receive her. They saved a life together, but still, Joe feels something is missing between him and Karen. The next day, while Karen is painting her nails, Joe tells her that it's over. At first, she is confused. Then she understands what he is implying. Karen simply gets up and gathers her things. Joe expects her to get mad and slap him, but she tells him that it's okay. She knew something was off, and they're adults. Things happen. After Karen leaves, Joe runs to Beck's apartment. He screams at Beck's window, but she doesn't respond. So Joe takes a rock and throws it, which makes Beck jump out of bed. She comes to the window, and Joe tells her that they are meant to be together and can now be together. Beck agrees, but this time tells him to take the stairs. They make love, and after that, she cleans up the broken glass. Beck tells him that she's starting a new book, and her editor likes the first few pages. The scene cuts to Joe going back home, and he sees Ron waiting outside Claudia's door. He tells Ron to back off because Claudia has been through a lot. Ron tells him that things have changed and even thanks him for helping Claudia out. Joe can't believe it, but Claudia tells him that she needs Ron's help. After they close the door, Joe sees Paco upstairs waiting for him. He's angry and upset. He thought Joe and Karen would be there for them, but Karen has left and even switched jobs after getting upset at Claudia for taking Ron back. Paco is disappointed in Joe because now things are worse than before. The scene cuts to Beck going somewhere. She leaves a voicemail for Joe. While leaving, Karen appears in front of her. She warns her about Joe because Joe is still obsessed with Candace, and no one can fill her shoes. Moreover, he could do something worse to Beck than he did to Candace. Beck tries to laugh it off, but Karen is adamant. After warning her, Karen leaves. Right then, Beck gets a call from Joe, and the episode ends. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.